Joe Persaud goes to work in Manhattan every day, and now he can ride the bus for free, or at least that's what Mamdani said. Joe, welcome to the truth.
Hey, thank you, John. Thank you for having
You've
me.
Oh, absolutely. We're happy to have you. You've worked in the insurance industry for 40 years,
Yeah.
fighting fraud and reducing the risk of insurers. And you deal with a lot of public transportation companies that you insure, giving you a inside look at Manhattan and New York's public transportation. Can you get a free bus ride these days?
Uh, Promises, but that's not coming true. Not yet. Not now. Uh, it's a great promise, but you got to pay for it somehow.
City grocery stores?
No, uh, not yet.
Hmm. No free food, no free transportation. So much for socialism. What what
Uh,
what, what's the climate like in New York politically? What today? I mean, we get information from the news media, which aside from the truth with John Gordon, we don't really pay much attention to because I don't think they tell the truth. They certainly slant the news.
right.
But as a New Yorker, what's it like to live there? Have you noticed changes over the last year or not?
Well, obviously, with the new mayor in, a lot of things have been shifted, but it's still brand new. We're still in the fifth month or sixth month. But New York is, I mean, there are people who are picking up and leaving,
Yeah.
people who are coming. But I must tell you that it's in a euphoric mood right now because the Knicks won their third game. It was a miracle last night. So the whole, if you're asking what's happening right now at this moment, New York is in a euphoric mood because of sports
You kept
bringing
me
them to.
you all kept me up late. And
Yeah,
then I was so excited I couldn't go to sleep. That may have been well. I think it was the greatest comeback in NBA
it
history
was.
in a championship game. 30
It was.
points, and I've always had the perception that you just watch the last 2 minutes of a basketball game and save yourself the other hour and 58
Well,
minutes. But
in this case, yeah, it's the last 5 minutes of this game that really made it there. I've never seen anything like that. 29 points down, and they just made a go at it. And then down to the last 3 seconds.
well, it's exciting times, I know, for New Yorkers. So the whole transportation industry appears to me to be in a state of evolution, rapid change.
Yeah,
You have Waymo that has come to many major cities. I rode Waymo in Los Angeles for a week,
right.
and I'd gotten an Uber, and I was complaining about how long it took to get the Uber, and then how much the fare was. And one of my son's friends said, "Well, why didn't you take Waymo?" I said, "I don't know. It never occurred to me to take Waymo." He said, "Yeah, you can just download the app and call a Waymo. It's just like an Uber, but it
Right.
costs half as much, and you don't have to worry about a driver having to conversate with him or her." And I took it, and the first ride I took, I was a little uneasy, even though I have a Tesla with full self driving. I'm still in charge. I'm
Yeah,
sitting in the driver's seat with my hand
sure.
at the ready and my foot on the ready to hit the brake. But in the Waymo, I was riding in the back seat. There is no driver. There is nobody in the passenger side of the car, and it takes a minute to get used to it. But boy, after that, what a incredible experience! Now, I would think that Manhattan would be the penultimate test for a autonomous car. Have you ridden in a Waymo
I,
there?
I haven't, and I know I will sometime, and I know it's a psychological. You got to have that. You got to go over that threshold, and I guess you know how it was the first few minutes. Uh, but they are. I think they have 8 or 10 cars out there. The last I heard, that they were doing a pilot here in New York City. I did not think they would be piloting here yet, but they are, and it's amazing. I haven't heard what has happened. They've been keeping the data kind of quiet, but we're in the transportation business. We're trying to figure out what's going on there.
Manhattan would be the ultimate stress test, I would think, because you have to be prepared for the unexpected in Manhattan. You know, in Las Vegas, where they've had Waymo now for a couple of years, I believe, and it's geo-fenced. It doesn't go all over Las Vegas. Just like in LA, you can go everywhere but the airport, for God's
Yeah,
sakes.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but you know, in Las Vegas, the streets are very uh, tightly regulated. There are police barriers up on the sides of the sidewalks, making it really hard to jaywalk or dart into the street. They're not everywhere, but they're in the high traffic areas. And but the streets are wide, and the traffic moves pretty freely. New York, you've got gridlock, you've got people jaywalking, you've got bicyclists,
Sure, sure.
public transportation, everything imaginable that could make driving, designing, and implementing an autonomous car a challenge. I would think. Do you have any sense for how it's going?
We're trying to get some data on it, and I would think it's going okay because we have not heard bad news.
Yeah.
If there was something bad, I think it would have hit the news. So they're keeping it under wraps for now, and it's going to change transportation dramatically without that driver.
As you know, we don't put our name on anything that we haven't tried and believe in. So when I tell you about Nessa's Hemp, I want you to listen up. Nessa's Hemp is a Chicago based company that makes hemp, and it was founded by Anessa. And what she's built is really something. We're talking about clean, high quality hemp products with no gimmicks, just real ingredients, real transparency with real results. Whether you're dealing with stress, sleep issues, inflammation, or you just want to add something natural to your wellness routine, Nessa's Hemp has something to offer you. Head over to nessahemp.com, that's NESAS hemp.com, and check out what they've got. Use our promo code TRUTH for a discount just by being our listener. We'll get right back to the show after this brief word from our sponsor, Masculine Man Essentials. Look, most deodorants on the shelf are full of aluminum, parabens, and synthetic junk. Masculine Man Essentials goes at it differently. All natural ingredients, built for men, and it actually holds up through the whole day long. Whether you're at the office, at the gym, in traffic, or just getting home for the night, try Masculine Man Essentials. I've been using it, and I can tell you, it's the real deal. Head to masculinemanessentials.com, grab yourself a 2-pack or a 4-pack, use the promo code TRUTH at the checkout to save on your first order, and the link is in today's show notes. Don't you think it's going to change insurance dramatically as well? You know, Tesla is in, I don't remember exactly how many states. I think it's 8 or 10.
Right.
And they base their insurance rate based on their evaluation of the driver. And in a Tesla, they know everything that the driver's doing. They know if they're speeding, if they're going through yellow lights, if they're doing rolling stops. They collect all the data, and they base your premium on your driving score. So if you're a good driver and you obey the laws, then you get a lower rate. If you're like me and have a heavy foot and you want to speed, or God forbid, run red lights, which I think is the most prevalent cause of fatalities in automobiles, are people running red lights. So our listeners, don't do that. But I think that is the free marketplace at its finest. What's your thought?
Yeah, I think it is. It's going to be one of those. uh, like not industrial revolution in that sense. I would also say that in New York City, aside from all the things you've mentioned, the pedestrians, the different places, and the stops and goes, you're dealing with about 150 to 200,000 drivers who depend on this space for a living. We at American Transit, that's our bread and butter. We deal with these people every day. So even with this new technology coming in, you're going to have to deal with the human part of it. You're dealing with 150, 200,000 lives, and they each have 3 or 4 lives depending on them. So it's not going to be a immediate shift to like, oh, 50% of them are going to be autonomous. I don't see that happening within the next 5 years. I think it's going to be probably. I mean, this is just off the top of my head, maybe 5, 10%, maybe, but I can't see it shifting a lot. Not when you're dealing with 150, 200,000 lives, and that's one of the things that American Transit is trying to do is improve their lives, because they're actual people who they need to make a living.
Well, they do need to make a living, but of course, the argument on the other side is that a autonomous car is a fraction of the cost of a car with a driver. And it is also, even right now, significantly safer than a car driven by a human. Um, so, isn't that going to play heavily into the decision if you can make a safer experience at a lower cost? What's the issue here except protecting the driver?
No, I think that's a great point. Safety and the costs. Uh,
Affordability, as Mandami would probably label it.
yeah, that's the word. So yeah, I think it will happen. But like anything else across the country, across the world, this reminds me of when Uber was getting into the business across the world 10 years ago. They were telling Uber you can't do it, and then Uber was like, "No, the public needs this." So, to your point, we're at another infraction state in this transportation industry across the country. That if safety and costs is much more better than the alternative, there's gonna be a big push for it,
It's going to be
and
hard to
and and
say
you know
no, I think.
yeah, and the drivers are going to end up probably doing other jobs. So and American Transit is also ready. We have a sister company called Excelsia that's ready to help them in any way, even there if it moves to autonomous. I think there is a law, John, here in New York where it's on the books that autonomous vehicles have to have a person inside. So, to your point, as to whether it will move, it probably will move to autonomous vehicles in some form or fashion because of the safety and the costs. But New York on the books has something where they have some human person has to be in there, and our long-term vision is really to help make that happen and work with that person who's in there and shift to that level. Yes, we can't put a blind eye to safety and cost.
Well, it is an exciting time. And I think that at some point, uh, buses and trains will likely be autonomous as well. And it will be a safer experience for all concerned.
Yes.
I do agree that the acceptance rate is going to be slow at first and then probably the proverbial hockey stick. But you know better than I and our listeners that getting around Manhattan can be a real chore. And Governor Hochul even wanted to impose a congestion tax on drivers in Manhattan. Don't you think that once automobiles move to autonomous, that the belief is that it will be cheaper to ride in a robotaxi, an autonomous taxi, regardless of brand, it'll be cheaper than it will be to own a car. You won't have the expense of the car. You won't have insurance. You won't have to pay for parking. You won't have to pay for maintenance. All the stuff that goes with the joy of car ownership. It could be a very exciting time, and that in itself could cure the congestion in New York, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You know, pre-COVID, I think there was a lot of move towards some of what you were saying because, yeah, you had rentals where you can rent them for 3 hours, or even a taxi was much cheaper. Then when COVID came, because of not wanting to be in congested areas and with the public and in buses, people started buying cars. So I think at this stage, we're 5 years away from COVID. It will start to get back to that point where it's much cheaper to use a taxi, or, and in this case, a robo taxi, and use those types of transportation. I think you're right about that, especially in New York City. The congestion is crazy. I was near to the Knicks Madison Square Garden yesterday at about 6 o'clock. The thousands and thousands of people, and the cars couldn't move. We were at a technology conference at Jacob Javits Center trying to get back home. But to your point. The congestion is unbelievable.
Well, lucky for you, it wasn't raining, or else you'd still be in traffic.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Joe Persaud, thank you for coming on The Truth today and giving us a look into the uh, state of and the current state of the condition of Manhattan and New York, and appreciate the opportunity to get to know you.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you so much for having us.